Hello and welcome to another fabulous episode of Experts Eating Cake, and I'm so excited today. This lady is an expert in telling stories like an expert storyteller, from English teacher to positive psychology expert to published author. She's finally getting to the nitty-gritty of her true superpower, my lovely storytelling friend, Louisa. Yay! Hooray!
Hello.
So glad you're here. I've been waiting ages for you to get on here.
I know, it's taken me time. But I'm here.
Yay, here now. We got cake.
I've got cake. I've got two cakes.
Is one a backup cake?
No, they're just two of the same.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can count one of them as a backup cake. I usually find if I get the cakes in advance, I need a backup cake because they call my name and I'm sitting here in the office, and if I have one, at least I've got another one.
Well, I nearly ate one of them for my breakfast. I'm not going to lie. It was calling to me. There's a chocolate monster that lives in this house, so a little clue, and it was calling me, and I was like, just have one now. And then I was like, no.
Are you a proud I eat cake for breakfast person?
If it's there, I'm not gonna lie. I'm all for the sweet. We've just come back from Fuerteventura, and it was all about the pancakes, the churros, and everything covered in Nutella for breakfast.
But Nutella, I've always found that Nutella is a holiday treat. Ever since I was a kid, it was always a holiday treat. And now my son, when he don't get Nutella except Christmas and holidays. So I made it so that, because he would eat it, he'd literally have his face buried in Nutella every single day if I let him.
Guilty. My daughter eats it with a spoon. I don't buy it all the time because I know when it's there, it'll just get eaten, and then it's a treat when we get it. But yeah, she's like, Mummy, please, can I just eat it with the spoon? I'm like, no, you're not just eating Nutella on a spoon. And it tells you the calories, doesn't it, per spoon? I'm like,
no,
nobody wants to know that. Nobody wants to know.
No. It's magical. It's got no calories. Go on, you show me yours and I'll show you mine.
Are you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Ooh, chocolate eclairs.
A
oldie but a goodie.
It's all about the nostalgia for me, this cake.
Go on then. Try it. Oh, that's so messy.
I love it.
Anyway, cheers. I've got cheesecake brownie.
Ooh, nice. Cheers.
Brownie. It's from the middle of Lidl. Actually, it's from the bakery in Lidl.
This is from Spa. Got a cracking Spa by me because where I live, and it's got a cracking bakery, fresh bakery, pastries, pasties, and all of that. And I was like, oh, I know my Spa won't let me down.
Do you bake, or are you just a cake consumer?
There's no baking. Consumer. My daughter loves baking, and she would love me to bake with her. So I do often buy those Betty Crocker bake it yourself, stick an egg in it and go things. In lockdown, we baked a lot, but in real life, lockdown wasn't real life, but in real life, we don't. We like to cook cake. I tell you what, I'm an absolute pro at. I know it doesn't officially fall in the cake category. I am an expert at pancakes. I perfected.
Oh no, it's not baked, is it? Pancakes are not baked. I still class it as cakes.
No, but I perfected my pancakes in lockdown because I never used to be able to do them, and honestly, I'm a whiz at them now.
Can I come round to your house on a Sunday morning? You can make me some pancakes.
We do. We often have pancakes. Am I allowed to eat all of this, or am I supposed to be professional now and put it down?
Listen, you're a grown-ass human being. You can eat whatever you like, whenever you like. You don't need anybody to give you permission.
See, if we were on a soap opera here and we were recording, I used to be an extra years ago, and it'd always have to be the same length. So if we had to cut and start again, I'd have to get another cake. So why don't we pretend it's all gone wrong? Stop this, start again, and I'll eat the other one.
All right. No, I tell you what, you finish that one, and then when you're ready, we'll pretend that we started again.
Hey, I put lip gloss on and everything. What a waste.
It's gone.
Oh,
yeah, that as well.
That is amazing. Do you want me to tell you why I chose this chocolate eclair?
Yes, please.
So it's a nostalgia cake. It reminds me of my mum and my grandma. So my grandma passed away last year, and she loved a cream cake. And when I was growing up, it was always a treat, a chocolate eclair. So if grandma came round or if mum was treating us, it would either be an egg custard. I probably would have bought an egg custard if they'd had him. They didn't have an egg custard, but I knew I was going classic. But a chocolate eclair is my proper mum treat. And when we were really little, we weren't allowed them because we weren't grown up enough. And it was like a graduated cake. Like when we got to a certain age, you were allowed a chocolate eclair. And it just reminds me of going shopping into town with my mum and picking up a pasty and a cake and then coming home and having it for our dinner. Or even better, if we were allowed to like sit in at Sayers or something, have your pasty and then eat your cake there. I mean, you didn't know you were born when that happened.
And I absolutely, totally relate. I know exactly what you mean. And the egg custard thing, I bloody love it, like egg custard.
Well, my egg custard is my granddad. Or my mum's dad. Whenever he came to see me, he would always turn up with 2 egg custards every time without failing. And he's like with his Roy Cropper handbag. 2 egg custards without fail. I mean, Pound Bakery, their profits must have gone down since my granddad passed away because sales are down in pasties and egg custards.
Well, you need to go and get some in his honour.
We do. We often do. But yeah, proper nostalgia. So chocolate eclairs is my mum and my grandma, and egg custards is my mum and my granddad. So that's what I've gone with today.
Sounds good. I just went with this because it looked really nice and it wasn't too big.
Just look fit. Oh, I'm just going for the top only here.
I'm on my last bite now.
The other good thing about buying these is I don't have to share them with Emily because she doesn't like cream. So I don't feel guilty that I've ate both. Not that I'd care anyway.
Result.
Why have you not been on here sooner? Why has it took me this long?
I don't know. Maybe you've been busy. We'll talk about this later because you have been pretty damn busy.
Very busy, yeah.
Loads going on.
Loads.
Okay, so the story with me and Louisa is that I met her a couple of years ago because I thought she was fabulous. She was, you were creating this strategy day, and I love a good strategy day. Yep. It just so happened to be in Manchester. It was in the Kimpton Tower Clock,
lovely, wasn't it?
Whatever, that nice hotel. And I was going to it pretty cold. I didn't really know anybody. I think I knew the only person I knew in the room at the time was Louise Jameson.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and I just thought, let's go and make some new friends. And you know what? That was over a year and a half ago.
Yeah, it was November 21, I think it was. Or 22. 22, sorry. Yeah. November 22. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was over a year and a half ago. And since then, pretty much the vast majority of people in that room I remained friends with, and a few of them have even been on Experts Eating Cake before.
Yeah, honestly, literally bonds were formed in that room, weren't they? Epic bonds. I went on to work with Kim.
Yeah,
she's been my lawyer, helping me through family court, and Paula went on to write a book with me.
Yeah, she was on not that long ago.
Yeah, Joanne's been in touch. Ria's really good, like literally. Louise, and do you know a funny thing? The other Louise that was there was 2 Louises. She came up to me. We were at a networking event on International Women's Day this year, and she said, "I still remember everything I learned on that day." And on the day, I found it tough, some of the reframing, but it works, and I realise now, and I use it all the time. I was like, "Yes, that's
what is it? Stop, spark, and spin."
Flat spin. There it is. Well done. Gold star.
Can't forget that. It was such a great day. I mean, I brought Pete with me as well, and some of Pete the pineapple.
What was something else, Pete? You had your photographs done as well. Do you know? I really intended to have another one of those last year, but for some of the reasons which I'll explain in a minute, I've had to pull back to come forward. So I've been like one of those retractable cars in the last 12 months. I've had to pull back, but there'll be one soon.
Watch this space. Watch this space. That's all we can say. Okay, so watch this space. Anyway, so we're going to find out a little bit more about what you do as an evolution of everything that happened off the back of. I know a lot was going on even before then, but this is where I stepped into your world, and then when I found out about you. Actually, fun fact, Mel who was there,
Yeah.
me and her are birthday twinsies. We were born on exactly the same day.
How lovely.
How weird is that?
What date's that?
11th of June. By the time this goes out, I'll have celebrated my 50th birthday. And so
no, the big 50. Yay, how exciting. Oh, that's going to be good. That's going to be good.
Cool. Right, okay. So we're going to have to find out who is in this evolution, Louisa Herridge, and what are you on a mission to do?
I need to duff myself. So you can't quite see that. Oh God, I'm going the wrong way. I am Louisa Herridge, the storytelling for success coach. And I'm on a mission to help entrepreneurs tap into the power of their story so that they can connect with their ideal clients and create epic content and show up with passion and purpose in business, books, and beyond. Boom.
Perfect. So anybody who wants to make waves in their field, who has got who's coming from a place of passion and purpose, and has a history and wants to bring that to light to be able to inspire other people.
Absolutely.
You're the woman to help them do that.
I am. And the storytelling for success I've been doing for 2 years. We did it that day. That was the afternoon session, if you remember. And I've been calling it storytelling for success for 2 years through my studies within positive psychology. So it's not just about big T trauma. It's not like you have to have these big stories. It's about building know, like, and trust factor through your business. And a lot of people are terrified to share them. They can talk about things in their business. We've got like 2 camps of people. We've got people that will sell and talk all about their thing and their expert status and their stuff, but they're like a non-existent party in it. We don't know anything about them. Or there's people that can write content, write, and then never sell. They don't put stuff up. They don't ask for business. Are you guilty as charged?
Yeah, but I've made inroads into that recently because I've started separating myself from my business. So
yeah, you and me both, my love. I saw your declaration the other day. I watched that about retiring. Yeah, I thought, bloody hell, where's she going? But yeah, I think it's really good. So it's all come, the evolution, as it's literally everything I've been doing in business for the past 3 years. But I've had 2 strands to my business, which if you want me to, I can go into now, or you can ask me more questions.
Tell us.
So I'm an ex-English teacher. And at heart, I will always identify as a teacher. But when I left teaching, I ran away from teaching like this. Like, I don't want to be a teacher anymore. And I spent the first year in my business rebelling anything and arguing with anybody that said I was a teacher. I was like, I'm not a teacher anymore. But I am, and I'm good at it. And I was a bloody good teacher. So my initial business was in schools, helping children with mindfulness and self-care, self-love, all that sort of thing. Just before lockdown was when I started to get into it. So I trained in lockdown. So like everybody, the lockdown shift, the lockdown phenomenon changed my whole focus. So I was working with children, but had to do it on Zoom. So I was helping them with self-confidence, with positivity, with reframing. And the reason I got into that was because my own daughter was struggling with anxiety, PTSD, what we now know as PTSD, and separation anxiety because of witnessing domestic abuse. So my journey into business was sort of like hand in hand with my healing and needing answers and trying to find things and desperately wanting something to make it all fucking make sense. I'm allowed to swear, sorry. To make it all make sense, because we'd been through such traumatic few years. And I was winging it. I mean, a lot of us are.
Yes.
I was winging it. And I worked with some epic coaches. I did Be Inspired with Danny Wallace. I worked with Chocolate PR with Joe Swan, who really helped me tap into my story. So
funny that.
The power of my story. I was doing freelance proofreading. And then I started to work with Joe and Authors & Co, doing freelance proofreading, writing press releases. So but I was spending a lot of my time doing stuff for other people,
Yeah.
not my own business. So I was coaching, and I ran some really successful courses, you know, and then I trained to be a positive psychology coach. And
Mhm.
I think that's the love of what I've learned now is the love of learning is massively high on my agenda. So I needed to understand why the things were working.
Yeah.
So the transition from kids to women sort of came off of the back of lockdown, where women were saying to me, "Oh, Louisa, I need you to help me. Like that you did with my kid the other night. Can you
Yeah.
do that for me? Can you help me?" So I started doing like mindful mum sessions where I'd get a group of, and I was charging like, you know, about £1. And I was getting people together, and I just built my expertise and all of that. So then when I started working with Danny Wallace as a speaker for Be
Mhm.
Inspired, I mean, I'm an absolute nutter. I signed up when I didn't have a business. I was still a teacher.
It sounds par for the course, really, with
Like,
anything related to Danny Wallace.
here's £5,000. Just have it. Just have it.
Yeah.
Like, but I just like, I mean, Danny's inspired so many people for
Mhm.
good reason. And I just knew I got a glimmer of this world. So I went to Womanifest. I actually won tickets to Womanifest. And I went
Was that the one at the Hilton?
one at the Hilton,
I
yeah.
was there as well. That was the
Was
first
you
time I'd
there?
come across Danny, yeah.
So, and I heard Danny speak, and I got on a mailing list, and then I signed up for the challenge, and the rest is history. But at Womanifest, I got a glimpse of this other world, like, and I was going through therapy at the time, and I was like, oh God, I don't have to be a teacher my whole life. I can do something else. So this was before I'd signed up for Relax Kids, which was what I was doing in schools. So a lot of things happened at once. And then anyway, fast forward 12 months, I'd stopped. I did for about a year. I did Relax Kids and Mamas Ignited, which was my original
Yeah.
business name. So I was doing online courses and coaching, and then I was working in schools doing Relax Kids. But then I pulled away from that, and I knew that there was more in the online world with women that was lighting me up more than in schools.
Mhm.
So I took the decision to pull away from that. I mean, some people thought I was nuts. They thought I should stay working in schools, but
Yeah,
again,
but
like I
don't
said,
they always think that you're nuts if you want to
exactly
do something a little bit different?
different. But I think school was, when I was a teacher trying to make an escape, working in schools was the obvious escape.
Yeah.
But once I'd felt the fear and done it anyway, and then I was seeing people and emulating people, and well, if it can be successful for them. And at the start, I always say I had reverse imposter syndrome.
Oh, I know what you mean.
I can do whatever I want and it'll be a success. Like I literally, there was
Yeah.
no stopping me. I did a book, I did a course, I did this, I did this. I put my course out, I made 10 grand. I was like, oh my God, it works. Like it was just bonkers. And I was working with Danny and all of that. So things were going great. But there was always I was never fully. I loved it. I enjoyed it. When I was on the calls, I've worked with so many women. I've done loads of things, but there was something missing. So parallel to this, because of being an English teacher and a love of reading and writing, I always wanted to write a book. So I signed up to write a book.
Mhm.
But that was just for me initially, and that was just to be for my business.
Yeah.
But because I loved writing so much, I went to the next Be Inspired the year after I'd spoken. And whilst I was sitting in the audience, funnily enough, I was inspired. And I got an idea about doing a book collaboration. And I was like, I need to bring a group of women together. And there was that little voice in my head saying, who are you? Who would want to work with you? Who would pay you money to help you write? Like, that's not going to happen. But it did. So I ended up doing two. I did 2 books, brought 2 groups of women together. I was the host of the book.
Mhm.
And then the books were published by a company supporting us to publish it.
Yeah.
And it was the most thrilling, exciting thing I'd ever done. And that was my heart. That was where I was lit up and I needed to do it more. And then last year, I did a TEDx talk, which has been like the pinnacle.
Yes.
I did a TEDx talk and it was called Could Reading a Bedtime Story Change the World?
Yeah.
And it sort of it collided my 2 worlds.
Was that the one in what? Was that in Warrington?
It was TEDx Warrington, yeah, and it's on YouTube. If you type
We'll
my name,
we'll pop the link in the description.
But sorry, I know this is a long-winded story.
Go. I'm fascinated. You're a storyteller. It'd be daft if you didn't.
I really believe that things happen for a reason, and you're exactly where you're meant to be. So last year I had another mental health breakdown. So things were flying in my business, but basically I'd put my mama's ignited mask on. I was shiny Louisa, like I used to be Miss Herridge, everything's fine. Yeah. And when I had the breakdown when I was teaching off the back of domestic abuse and PTSD, my toxic trait is saying everything's okay and not asking for help and keeping going. And I was doing the same last year as well, because what was going on alongside, and I can't talk about this, but what was going on was a family court process. And the culmination of a 10-month family court process, basically last March 23, just brought me to my knees. So what I was saying about the retractable car before, I finally went to therapy. So I got to the point where I realized I can't do it all myself. I can meditate and breathe and journal as much as I want, but sometimes you need somebody to help you. But I really was beating myself up, because I was like, I'm a positive psychology coach. I'm supposed to be helping people to reframe and be positive. But inside, that wasn't real. It wasn't true. Yeah, this is resonating, I'm sure, with many people. So last March, I started therapy, and she helped me so much. And at the same time I started therapy, I got accepted to do TEDx. So I spent most of last year focusing on myself. Yeah. I still had clients. I was still doing things, you know what I mean? But I did a launch this time last year. You know, I was still visible. I was still selling things. Like, I didn't disappear. But I didn't do all the things. I put myself on a stop the spend. I stopped going to all the things, because I'd been going to the opening of an envelope, you know.
Yeah, I know that scenario, yeah.
Shiny objects galore. I was like, it's no wonder I ended up needing glasses, the amount of shiny objects I've bought. But so anyway, so I did all the healing, and behind the scenes, I made a decision that writing and storytelling was my thing, but I was too scared to tell anybody. So I started like whispering it. I'm a writing coach, you know, business and writing coach. Don't tell anyone. You know, I started to do it, and I was in a couple of like mastermind groups, but I just couldn't see how I could make it work. It just didn't make sense. But then I was on a course. This was a course I'd paid for the year before. And the coach had said to me, why aren't you working with Jo? So Jo Wildsmith is like one of my really good friends.
She's been on here as well.
Yay! Hint that I'm late. So she's a KDP, Amazon print on demand expert. She's been publishing for 10 years. She trains people. She helps people. We're like busy mates. We've just been on holiday together.
And she's flipping hilarious.
Oh, she's awesome. God, we had such honestly on holiday. It was didn't stop laughing. It was so funny. Yeah. Couldn't get to bloody sleep. They labelled me the killjoy on holiday, because my 8-year-old and her were playing bloody tricks on me, and I was the killjoy. So this idea was floated of us working together and doing it. But again, those fears. So at the start, I was like reverse imposter syndrome. But as I've gone through, when my mental health deteriorated, those imposter syndrome bits have come in. So that's what we started doing. So, and I didn't even have to look for clients, because Paula tapped me on the shoulder again at Be Inspired. Paula Holden,
one of our favourite people in the whole planet.
She tapped me on the shoulder at Be Inspired and said, I want to write a book, and you're the only person I want to write it with. And I went, okay. So she'd done my book collaboration from the Ashes She's Ignited. She said, I want to work with you. I want you to do it. Can you tell me how much it will be, please? And I was like, oh, I have no idea. I don't have a business. I don't have a price. I don't have a plan. I don't know what to do. But I knew how to do everything. Yeah. And I couldn't do it without Jo. So we formed a partnership called the Publishing Pod. So she's very much got her own business, and I've very much got my own business as the Storytelling for Success coach. But when we publish, we come together as the Publishing Pod. So I do all the writer coaching, I do all the editing, proofreading, idea generating, all that sort of stuff. And then Jo takes over, and she's got members of her team, graphic designers and whatnot, that do all of that. So Paula was our guinea pig. So it was when I was doing TEDx that I realised that it all came together. So from January this year, it has been Project Louisa Herridge Limited, Storytelling for Success. So everything I've been working on since January has been aligning my new brand. So Mama's Ignited has totally gone. I'm Louisa Herridge, the Storytelling for Success coach. I work with women on one-to-ones via Zoom, VIP days, half and full days. I run courses. I've got a course that runs, at the minute it's been once a year. I might see if I can run it every 6 months, but at the minute
let's get it going.
Yeah, but because of you know, I've never used that analogy before, but I like it. So I did another book collaboration that came out. The books are behind me there. If I could tell her, can I get it and wave it at you?
Go get it.
Go.
Oh yeah.
This was our recent book collaboration. So Paula's book
Is
was
your third one or fourth one?
This is my third collaboration. So I've got 2 volumes of From the Ashes She's Ignited, and now I've got If I Could Tell Her. But as you can see, I've now branded my Storytelling for Success system. So because I've now worked with like 30, 40 people on it, and I do it so often now, it's become a method. Yeah. And it's something that I fully believe in, and I share it for free in masterclasses. I've got links I can share with a free masterclass. I can
actually, if you want, tell us a couple of things, like a couple of the major tips.
Do that now. Yeah, absolutely.
Go through on the masterclass.
So, Storytelling for Success is underpinned by positive psychology. So it's basically about stories are put on us, and we tell stories about our life as we grow up. And sometimes these stories have been put on us by societal expectation, by parents, by friends, teachers, and you can carry negative stories. So it isn't about things that have happened to us. It's about stories within us. Yeah. So I could be, the loudest, me and you, both loud, aren't we? Both talkative.
Speak for yourself.
Shut up. But we could be very insecure on the inside. So a story could be Louisa's really confident and always gobs off and all of that. But at school, I was insecure. My self-esteem was low. So the wrong story had been told about me. It's like somebody saying to you, you're crap at maths, you'll never be any good at maths. You could live with that, I'm crap at maths. Well, you're not. That's just something that's been put on you. You can reframe that and learn to get better at it. So when I work with clients, whether they're writing a book or for business, so I do it in 2 different ways. So obviously, if they're writing a book, we go through their timeline, looking at everything that's ever happened to us. It's almost like a movie trailer. In the book, actually, my chapter at the front takes you through Storytelling for Success. It's only 99p on Kindle as well. But everything, it's all in there if anybody wants it. So you chunk your life into 6 pillars, like the movie. Louisa Herridge, the movie. Michelle Thomas, the movie. I always do the EastEnders duffs, can't help it. And then you look at your pillars, and then you take one pillar. Ideally, you do it all, and you look at the thing that's happened. Now, usually it's something shit. Let's be honest. Yeah, there's some sort of trauma, because we've all had them: grief, loss, abandonment, emotional abuse, physical abuse, mental health. There's all things. Being, many children have grown up in abusive households or with parents that drank, smoked. There's so many things that impact us. Yeah. So it's looking at the time and the 3 questions that you ask yourself for Storytelling for Success. In that moment, what impact did it have on my life? So we do a bit of journaling. Impact, good or bad? Okay. How has it shaped the me that I am now? So Why am I who I am now? And then the third one, it has to be good. What good came from it? And I really believe that good comes from everything. And I have worked with women that have lost children, that have had cancer, that have infertility, that have chronic anxiety. And every single one of them has found the good.
Yeah.
So we're never going to say, oh my God, I'm so glad that happened. You know, it's not about that. So once we've answered those 3 questions, we then look for the power words. So we're looking for words like grit, resilience, determination.
Oh, my favorite words.
Yeah, they're your power words.
Yeah.
And we know we use a lot of these words all the time. But if you can connect a power word to actually a moment in your past, what you're doing is you're editing your own story and you're retelling your own story from a position of power that puts you in the driving seat rather than a passenger in your own story. Yes. And that's storytelling for success. I have a storytelling for success structure that I help clients with of how to plan, how to write. So this can work with if you're writing a chapter in a book, your own big book, or if you want to look at your life. So I had a client this week who runs a pottery business, and she booked on with me just because she'd met me at a networking event. She was like, I love your vibe. I've no idea what you do, but I love it. Sign me up. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Pay me, please. Thank you. And she rocked on the other day. Didn't have a clue what to expect. And she was blown away. And by the end of it, she had like 12 massive stories from parts of her life that linked to her business, because it's no accident that we end up doing what we're doing. Everything has sown the seeds. So that's storytelling for success. So,
and the reason that it's mind-blowing is not because of what you, Louisa Herridge, present at the table. It's what when somebody meets you and learns how to actually bring that out of themselves. It's what they're blown away by is how powerful they actually are.
And they have power.
Yes.
Power. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's why in my tagline, I say this can help you in business, books, and beyond, because the positive psychology that underpins all this, again, it's all explained in the book. It comes from the pillar of meaning, and to have a meaningful life is to find purpose in your life. And one of the ways to have meaning is to be in charge of your own story and the power to tell. So it didn't happen to me. I'm not a victim of my own life.
Yeah.
This is what I've done in spite of that, because of that, after that. And I mean, and that's the only way that people, can cope. I mean, I'm lucky that I've not been through any of these big traumas, but, people that have lost children, like, there has to be hope, doesn't there? There has to be some strength.
In fact, I lost my first baby at 41 weeks pregnancy.
So,
and it was one of the turning points in my life, because, let's be honest, there's lots of things that can happen to people. I dodged pretty much all of them. I had a great upbringing. I had a wonderful childhood. And then there was a couple of things, but the big one was, 30 odd years old, losing a baby. And for me, it was all about, how am I going to take this and move on with my life and make it better so that it wasn't in vain almost.
Exactly.
And off the back of that, I got back into business. I started the baby ballet, which I'm still running. And
that blew my mind when I found out that you were the baby ballet lady, because I already knew you and I didn't know. And I knew baby ballet and I was like, no, when somebody told me. It's great.
So I'm part of the whole baby ballet crew, but that was really hard in that I literally bought a baby ballet franchise 6 weeks after losing my baby. Wow. So when I went into it, I was walking into a room full of babies, basically 18 months old, dancing with their parents and stuff and singing. And so I used to sit in the corner and cry.
Oh, bless
At the end, when they did the little lullaby thing. I mean, it even gets me now. I used to sit in the corner and cry.
Well, I'm gonna hold you to account here then. So you don't talk about this on your socials, do you?
I have done. I just don't tend to think about it that often. So,
and it's not something that you want to dig in all the time, but it is that story that's part of the reason you're who you are now, and why you are so positive and have such a happy outlook on life, because it's a famous quotation, with great adversity comes great resilience. And, if you look at most successful people, their story is pretty grim.
Yeah.
And it's that battle through. So yeah,
it's the hero's journey, isn't it? It's the hero's journey.
journey.
And, you're the only person. The only way you're going to be a hero is one of your own life, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so when I decided to pull it all together, I was chatting to somebody at TEDx. He was the presenter, the compere, and he came over to me. He said, "Louisa, I've been looking you up on Instagram and LinkedIn." He was like, "We have got so much in common. We need to talk. I'm a storytelling coach too." And I went, am I a storytelling coach? And it clicked. The penny dropped. Helping people with positive psychology and mindset and well-being and happiness, helping them to write books, helping people to run business. Because when I was doing VIP days, I've been helping people in business, but I never felt happy calling myself a business coach, because it's certain elements of business that I help them. It's that imposter syndrome. It's that mindset. It's that creativity of planning. I've planned full courses with people, full launches. I've done a lot of business strategy with people. I'm not an expert at business strategy. I'm just helping people with what I know from what I've done and what I've learned. So having it now all under the umbrella of storytelling for success just feels so right.
It makes sense.
It does make sense, doesn't it? And so, I don't want to just be out there as a publisher. I'm not a publisher. I can support people to write and self-publish through the publishing pod. But we've got, so I've just had a lady come to work with me this week. I've known her for a while. She was determined to fully self-publish because she didn't want to incur any costs, and that's fine. I gave her a quote and she said it's too much for us. I'm absolutely fine. But she's went away and wrote the book, and she said to me, will you edit it? So I gave her a price for editing, and I've edited it. And then she's come back to me and she said, "I want you to publish it." And I was like, great. So, but she's done what our package is called, proof and publish.
Yeah.
You don't have to do a full scale start to finish publishing package.
Yeah.
We will meet people at what they need. However, at Paula, I held her hand for the whole thing. She worked with me for 10 full months, and that's what she wanted. So it's making it accessible, not cheap. I'm not putting a cheap option out there, but a bespoke pricing structure that suits people's needs and, validates our expertise. And I know we do a bloody good job. And, we've got 3 books coming out this year, and I've got authors planned in for next year as well. So,
I've got to tell you though, when she was on here with me eating cake, oh my God, she had the best cakes.
I remember I watched it. Yeah.
But when she was on, she actually got delivery while she was live on the call with me. She got delivery of her proof, and she opened it up at the same time.
Yeah,
that was an epic moment.
It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, and that's part of it for me. It's meeting somebody who thinks that their story is important but doesn't have the confidence to share it, who is so worried about other people's reaction, that has maybe always needed validation from somebody else, to see them commit their story to paper, to go through it, and then have it published and held in their own hands.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's incredible. And I never get fed up of launch day. I've launched 6 or 7 books now, and it's just incredible. It's just,
and you're going to keep on doing it because it lights you up like a Christmas tree.
It bloody does. It does. But I love the business side of it as well. I love working with people and looking at their story. So I had a client last week, and she garbles. She says, I need reining in. She just goes off on tangents. I had to keep going and I talk, my God. And she says it herself, so I'm not speaking out of turn here. But we got her a 7-week succinct plan of content. So a 7-week content plan.
Amazing.
Succinct stories, linked to her power words, linked to her business values with call to action. So
and
I
you
love,
can't say further than that. That's like the holy grail. That's what we want when we, in business, and we want to put ourselves out there and, show people who we are so that we can build relationships and stuff. Because ultimately, being heart-led, purpose-led business owners, that's what we want to do. We want to give back to the world in such a way that,
I read something online last week and it was really powerful. I was like, oh yeah. And she said, it was Nicola Toner. And she said, so many people just try to be the expert in everything. And when you realize you're not the expert in everything, that's when the power comes. So what I do is I bring other people in as well. So when I run my course, so my course that's starting in June, I've got a Facebook expert and an Instagram expert coming in. So I don't claim to be, I know about the algorithm and I know about metrics and all of that. But for me, I'm helping with the content and the fears and the purpose of the entrepreneur. But then if you bring other experts in as well, they can help you look at how do you get it to work then for you on Facebook, on Instagram, and so on. So I think I'm still a huge fan of collaborative working and, shouting out other people. I mean, there's other people that I know are doing collaborative books published by different people writing books published by other people. Anybody that writes a book gets a share from me, gets the support from me, because it's literally what I've loved my whole life, reading and writing.
Yeah, well, I'm with you on that one. Absolutely. My two loves as well. It's, it's the source of creativity.
Yeah.
And I read every single day. I read books for fun, but not fun books. I read interesting, informative, learn how to do things, learn why this is. Probably very similar books to what you read as well.
Not your fiction. I've read a couple of fictions this year and I've not read fiction for ages and I really enjoyed it. And then I've just been on holiday and I was like, I'm going to read some fiction. But I didn't. At the airport, I bought Matthew Perry's memoir. It's incredible. Really,
is
it? Yeah. But I spent most of the holiday feeling like I was having a love affair with Matthew Perry. They were laughing at me. I was like, I'm just going to have some time with Matty. I'm going to curl up in a corner with Matty and just see what he's up to.
This is what I do all year long. I read, business books, psychology books, money books, behavioral psychology books, story books, as in people's biographies. And I read all sorts of stuff like that. And then when it comes to holiday time, it's usually when you go away, they've got like a little library where people leave all the books and stuff. And I just go in and I pick a pile of them and I work my way through them. The last time I did that, I was in Turkey. It was last year. This time last year, I went to Turkey. And in the space of a week, I think I read 6 books. 6 books.
Well, if ever there was a sign that a marriage was doomed, this is it. When I went on honeymoon to my ex-husband, I took 6 books with me. And I mean big books. One of them was The Last Harry Potter, which was absolutely massive.
Oh my God, yeah.
Read them all and then had to go to the book swap there and got another 3 books. I think I read 9 books on my honeymoon.
Well, I've got to admit, I did not read books on my honeymoon.
I don't think most people read books.
13 years later, I think we're all right. We're all right. We're reading books on holiday.
But yeah, it's just, I mean, stories, Brené Brown's quotation, one day your story will become somebody else's survival guide. I saw that and I didn't even know who Brené Brown was at the time. This was sort of like 2019 when I was coming through, domestic abuse, going through family court. And I remember reading that and it was like, wow. And how I got into business really in the first place was in lockdown, or this business, I mean, storytelling. In lockdown, somebody put a post saying that they were looking for inspiring women in business to share their stories. So because I just signed up to Relax Kids and I decided that I was going to do it, I applied and I thought, I don't know if I'll get picked. So it was my story and the fact that I was leaving teaching. So I wrote it in lockdown. And I wrote it. I mean, I really don't ever want to read it again. I'll be honest. I think it's very traumatic. I wrote it from a bleeding wound. rather than a scar. And I wrote it feeling like somebody was standing on my chest, like the triggering that came from writing it. And then I nearly didn't send it.
Yeah.
But she chased me and chased me and chased me for it. And eventually I pressed send, and it was terrifying. So I love the fact that I've done it. So when I have authors, like, I know how they feel.
Yeah.
And then when it came out, it was so well received, and I got featured in the local paper, and then it got picked up by national press and stuff like that. And suddenly I had strangers messaging me going, "Your stories inspired me."
Yeah.
And that was the start. That was November 2020, and that was the start. And I launched Mama's Ignited December 2020 off the back of that. So that book is it's Blooming Daffodils is what I was calling myself.
Right.
Totally random. And so my story started with telling my story.
But the thing is, Louisa, I think you know when you'll have healed from that, because if you were writing it when it was full throttle, really, really hurting, obviously it lands differently. But when you read that and you're okay with it being in your life, then you know that you've healed.
Oh, I'm definitely healed now. I mean, I've written about it in this book.
Yeah.
And in this book, I pulled myself up and challenged myself on how I wrote it last time round. And because I didn't know about storytelling for success, I didn't know about power, I was writing it in victim mode, because that's what I knew then. That's what I'd lived in for such a long time.
Yeah.
I wrote it in a completely different space. And
so it's the same story.
Yeah, same
but
story.
with a completely different feel.
Yeah.
That would be quite interesting, putting them side by side.
Yeah, maybe I should. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought. No, I mean, I know my writing was good. It's not about that, but yeah,
it's the life and the feeling and the energy that it actually has.
But
Absolutely.
It was so cathartic. It needed to be written, and particularly in the collaboration books, because I've done 3 now. And there's a 4th in process. I'm just editing the chapters. Nikki Kinsella. So I'm now working. Another adage is other business owners that want to host their own collaboration. So they're the face of it.
Yeah.
It's their book. They publish it, but I do the writer support. So I'm working with Lisa Williams to do one. The Vision Board Queen. She's doing
she was on.
Yeah.
Everybody, maybe I should write a book about experts eating cake.
It's very incestuous, Michelle, this, isn't it? Yes, you would. That was going to be my next question. When are you writing one? So now I'm working with them to help their authors write, and I'm editing them for them. So, and every author that comes in, well, pretty much everyone has said to me, it's helped me heal. It's helped me with, it's been cathartic. I've never looked at that part of my life in that way before.
Yeah.
So I know that it goes beyond people just banging out a book. There's more to it than just being a best-selling author. It's actually changing people's lives, what I'm doing, which is bonkers.
It does. Totally bonkers. It does. Yeah. It's not bonkers. It's natural. We just think it's bonkers because we never.
I own it. I totally own it. And I'm absolutely buzzing about it. So yeah, we're all good.
Exciting. Talking about books, I am writing one. It's written, I'm in the editing stages. Yeah. And the second one is already formulating and percolating in my head.
So it's not Experts Eat Cake, is it something else?
No. The first one is Radical Happiness for High Vibe Humans.
Yes.
So that has been written. Like I said, I'm going through the very, very painful editing stage at the moment. I have got somebody to help me, otherwise I'd have come to you.
Oh, do you know what? I did know this because I saw a post the other day. Yes. Yeah. You're working with a coach, aren't you? No, that's not. Are you self-publishing?
I haven't made that decision yet. I know what this is about. We'll have this conversation later,
we'll have this conversation off screen. No, I think people really underestimate the editing process. It's hard.
It's worse than the writing process, and that was like
worse, yeah. And I know this because I've written my own book. So editing chapters is so much easier because you're only wrangling with 5,000, whereas some people write up to 7,000. You have to get it down to 5. That's what I'm in the process of doing at the minute. But when you've got I had about 60,000 words and I had to get it down to 40, and you're moving it around. And I created my own language in code. So yeah, I feel for you. Editing is tough. It's tough, but you can do it. You can do it. You can do it.
I'm doing it. I'm procrastinating at the moment. On my calendar, it's the one task that keeps getting moved. Everything else is getting done. That one task is like, move it. See how far I can move it.
Radical happiness for what?
Radical happiness for high vibe humans.
Oh, I am all over that. I will support you 100% when that comes out.
And the second book, I've got a working title for it already, is The Epic Book of Energy.
Epic Book of Energy, lovely. Well, my new group is, we'll put the link, Storytelling for Success with Louisa Herridge.
Yeah.
And I think I've got about 200 people in there. I've only opened it in the last week. And people are coming in that want to write books, that have stories. So we've got a mixture of writers and entrepreneurs all in there about storytelling for success. So you're always welcome to come in there and promote it when the book comes out.
Well, we know what we'll be doing. I'll be doing this afternoon. I'll be procrastinating on editing my book, and I'll be joining your.
Come on in. I've got
it already in it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's brand new. I'm not sure if you are. I can't remember off the top of my head. Well, I was at 199 this morning, and I said I wanted 200.
Come on, let's have a look. See
so
if
we get you in. You could be me 200th person, unless somebody else has got in today. I was at 200. She's got it.
You've done it. You've gone and done it. Let me just put myself in there.
That's the group.
Storytelling. There we go. Yeah.
Oh, you're invited, but you've not accepted.
Where is it?
How bloody rude.
How rude. I know. It's terrible, isn't it?
I've invited you.
Right, you invited me again.
It won't let me.
Almost. Let me just see if I can get it. I don't want to leave without doing it.
Maybe. Don't worry. I'm doing
it. Right. Storytelling for Success with Louisa Herridge. Join group. I'm the 201st member. I've done it.
You'll go straight in then, won't you? Because I've invited you. She's in. Hello.
Yay!
Hello. I'm over 200 now. Now I can legally say over 200 people are in my group.
Yay! By the time this goes out, you'll probably have about 2 million.
I know. But do you know, I've had groups before and I've never loved them. And I've always thought that Facebook groups were the issue. And I think it was just because I wasn't aligned with what I fully loved.
No.
I didn't want to be a business coach. I didn't want to be a mindset coach. I wanted to be a storytelling coach and do business and mindset and books and beyond.
And sometimes it just takes blooming ages to get to the realization of exactly what it is that you want to be and what you want to do. But once you get there, it's
everything's brought me here. There's not a course I've done. There's not a thing that I've done where I've regretted it or that I've learned nothing or I've not connected. Like every event I have ever attended, as much we joke about going to the opening of an envelope, I've always connected with somebody that has then something like this, promote self-promotion, collaboration.
Eating cake.
Speaking of which, I hope this isn't curdling with all this.
God, no, it won't be that quick. Oh, yes.
Well, it's not as cool as it was. Still good, though. Still good.
I was going to ask you about a million questions, but you just told the story and answered them all anyway.
I don't talk too much. I just tell a good story.
You tell a good story, and you basically answered all the questions, and I didn't even have to ask you, and it's all good. But I have got another question for you. You have alluded to it, but I wanted to ask you because you said that you're a bit of a secret soap star, really, aren't you?
Oh yes.
What's your favourite thing about being in the soaps? Just tell us a little bit about the soaps that you've been in, and what's your favourite thing?
So I used to do Hollyoaks all the time back in the day. And Hollyoaks and Brookside were filmed at the same place. Mm-hmm. But my most exciting one, I did loads of dramas. I did a few Ricky Tomlinson and Alan Davis and those sorts of things back in the day. But my favourite one was Emmerdale. When I got to go to Emmerdale, I'd never got Corrie. I would have loved to do a Corrie, but I was a huge...
Not too late though, is it?
No, it's not. I was a huge Emmerdale fan. It was by far my most favourite. So the first time I got Emmerdale, we were in the studio. So I was in the wool pack, and it was real beer.
Was it?
Yeah. But Hollyoaks wasn't. Hollyoaks, it always used to be stale apple juice, and it was always tasted minging. But in Emmerdale, it was real beer. So this is what I was saying before about the cake. Every time they started again, they had to top me beer up. I was pissed.
That's brilliant. You go there again.
So I was in a crowd of people, and we were in the credits as noisy crowd. So we'd gate crashed a christening in the Woolpack, a group of us.
Okay.
And so we had to be all leery at the front. And so, but when you're doing extra work, you have to just silently memo, you can't say anything. But then they do what's called a wild track over it. So they have the levels of the actors, and then they put the background noise in. Mm-hmm. So we just finished, and all the main actors were stood around. And then they came over to us and they were like, right, we need a soundtrack, a wild track of noisy crowd. So they held this bloody giant boom microphone over the top of us. And they were like, you just need to ad-lib now loudly. Everyone else was crap. And I was going, like doing all this really loud laughing. And like, oh my God, Michelle, when it went on telly, all you could hear was me. So I worked in a call centre at the time. And like everybody watched Emmerdale, or so it seemed back then. And everyone was like, I heard you on telly last night. I didn't see you. No, you could see me, but I had this pink dress on because it was this christening. And I got stick for it for weeks about how loud I'd been.
You're going to get stick again now.
And but then I love the next time I went, I got to go on site in the village. So we did the external scene of us gate crashing the Woolpack was filmed in the village. And then, so that was really good fun. I was a nurse once on Hollyoaks, and I had 2 speaking parts on Hollyoaks as well.
Very nice.
So yeah. But
any more in the planning?
Do you know what? I've thought about it for years, because it's so ad hoc and you literally have to be available at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Since when I was teaching, I could never do it. But actually, now I'm running my own business, I probably could. So do you know what? Maybe so
you're going to be gunning with Harry then. And the EastEnders do.
Yeah.
Come on,
I mean, I've been in I'm in a theatre group for years, Centenary, and I've done shows with them. I did a show last year. Emily's been in, like, I love musical theatre. I love drama. I've done loads of plays. But like anything, when you have children, get put on the shelf a bit. But as she's getting a bit older, definitely when I can just ditch her to babysit herself in a few more years, I'll be getting back on stage more. Because at the minute, it's really hard being a single mum, getting babysitters twice a week. It's a nightmare. So we both did Elf the musical together. So we could go to rehearsals together, and that was so much fun. So
that sounds brilliant. You have been a brilliant guest. You really are the expert storyteller. It's been story after story. I've been sitting here absolutely in awe and enwrapped, and we'll be continuing, I think, later on, some more stories and some more collaborations and things like that. But you've been an epic guest, Louisa.
Oh, thanks, Michelle. So lovely.
About damn time!
About damn time! I know. I'm so sorry. I'm here.
I'll see you later, love.
Bye.
Hey, that was the beautiful Louisa Herridge. Absolutely going great guns as a storyteller, collaborating left, right, and centre. We've all got the same mates. It's great. Our mates are amazing. And some of my mates are going to be collaborating with me. They're going to be the experts on stage for my big event on the 1st of November, Dream Builders and World Changers. And if you haven't got your ticket yet, what the hell are you waiting for? It's going to be absolutely epic. So I'll see you next time for another episode of Experts Eating Cake. See you later.